structuring your literature review. Dear students, we have been discussing about the importance of literature review. And we discussed that literature review is really important because the world of research is based on the cooperation. And this cooperation is there because wherever the research is done, wherever it is carried out, and whosoever carried out those researches, they are documented and they are reported. Those studies are reported. And then on the basis of those existing studies, scholars, they read those, literature, and then they structure their literature reviews. Okay. So what are the approaches? What are the, structuring ways, the possibilities which are to be adopted and which are to be, finalized by researchers? Okay. So choosing a particular literature review approach is up to the, the scholar and the advisor. But there are various, fashions, various, approaches which are going on. And the point is that there are different writers, there are different levels, there are different topics, and therefore there are different approaches, right? In social sciences, we have different approach towards reviewing literature and towards, structuring the review of the literature. Similarly, we have different levels. We have undergrad level, we have master level, we have, MS and PhD level, right? And we can also review literature for the sake of a small scale project or a research paper project, right? So there are different, approaches, there are different levels, and therefore there are different, ways to structure literature. Okay, so the literature is basically to be structured in a particular way, and it could be broken down in terms of topics or in terms of themes, right? And also in terms of chronological order, particularly when you are working on a historical topic, right? On history, and your research is historical research, then you are required to go through the chronological order. You start with the history and in the chronological form, right? But if you're working on a particular thematic area, then you are required to go the step-by-step development of a theme, right? And therefore, the step-by-step, exploration of particular features of a model or, a theory. So in this case, your approach would be different, right? So we have different approaches, and then your area of research, your level of research, your, topic, and your everything is based on your approach, right? So your approach would be, categorizing your own work, right? So that's the point which should be known to research scholars. The final organizational pattern is basically about the fine-tuning of your literature review, right? You collect literature survey, you explore literature, you take notes, and then you give a shape to those notes, right? And then on the basis of your notes, you organize your literature review, and then the literature review is basically about the fine-tuning of your, literature review. So the point is that you must organize, you must follow an approach which is based on the focus of your study. So your focus of study would determine that what approach suits your study, right? So I'm giving you an example, and you should follow this example in your own study. The first thing to start with is, when you are to decide about the approach for your literature review, that to consult your advisor, your thesis supervisor, okay? So you ask your supervisor, and the best way is that ask your supervisor about 3-4 very recent, very latest theses in your, area of specialization, right? So the supervisor would recommend some theses to you which are quality theses, right? Which are completed by quality, researchers, and which are supervised by very professional advisors, okay? So you would be, exploring those theses which are from your discipline and which are to be explored and to be understood by you. And you would see that what approaches are followed by those scholars, right? So these are just for the sake of examples. You would know that in your particular area in which you are interested, in your discipline, what customs are going on, what are the approaches which are followed by research scholars, right? So you would know those approaches, and then on the basis of those approaches, you would be in a position to think about your own alternatives which are possible for you, like what to follow, whether you are supposed to follow those approaches which are followed by your examples of the thesis which you read, or are you willing to go for your own approach, which you would define in consultation with your advisor, right? So that's the possibility. Two more points which are important regarding your structuring of literature review is that, like in most of the theses, there is a separate chapter given to literature review, right? It's a distinct chapter exclusively given to your literature review. And in most cases, the title of the chapter is also literature review, okay? But there is one more possibility, and it's I've seen this in most of the experimental works, that in every chapter, the literature review is interspersed, okay? So it's given in the beginning of the topic, the beginning of the chapter, and then the subsequent experiment is based on that given literature, okay? So the methodology, the material, the approach, that is already given from the existing literature, and then the experiment is planned in the light of that literature review. So that's another possibility which you think about the organization of your literature review and about the approaches of your literature review. So the end choice is your own, right? And that choice is basically in consultation with your advisor. So it's only the point of appropriate style and appropriate approach as per your discipline, as per the latest trends of the area of research which you are following, which you are pursuing in your thesis. And the final words are, of course, yours and your supervisors.